1. You have swum in a hotel pool. You know exactly what it feels like. The water is impossibly clear, not just clean, visibly different, blue all the way to the bottom, no smell, no eye irritation, soft on the skin. You get out and your hair does not feel stripped, your eyes do not burn, and you have always assumed it was because they use more chemicals, stronger chemicals, professional grade chemicals that are simply not available to the average homeowner. That assumption is what the pool store has been counting on for years. Here is the number that should reframe everything. 1A luxury hotel pool holds between 50,000 and 200,000 gallons of water. It runs 24 hours a day. It handles hundreds of swimmers a week. Bather load that would turn a residential pool green in 48 hours, and yet the water is cleaner, clearer, and more comfortable than the 15,000-gallon pool in your backyard that you test, shock, and treat every single week. More swimmers, more volume, better water. The difference is not the quantity of chemicals. It is one specific compound that commercial aquatic facilities have used for decades that almost no residential pool owner has ever been told about. 190% of pool owners have never heard this compound mentioned by name at a pool store, a service tech, or a YouTube channel. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what it is, the precise mechanism behind why it produces the water quality you have experienced in every great hotel pool, the exact dose for your pool size, and why the residential pool industry has had every incentive to keep it off your radar. The water in your backyard can feel like that. It does not require a commercial budget or a facilities manager. It requires one compound, a one-time setup, and the same 2-minute morning habit that runs everything else on this channel. Most pool owners who swim in a great hotel pool walk away with one of two conclusions. Either the hotel uses a stronger version of the same chemicals available at the pool store, or there is some expensive professional system involved that is out of reach for residential use. Both conclusions are wrong, and both of them are convenient for anyone selling you a weekly algae-free bottle or a monthly service contract. The difference in water quality comes down to three things that commercial aquatic facilities manage differently than the average residential pool owner. 1. Circulation, which hotels run continuously, and most homeowners run 6 hours a day to save on electricity. Filtration, which commercial facilities clean on a strict schedule, and most homeowners clean when the water looks bad. And water chemistry stability, which is where the compound this video covers makes its biggest impact. Here is the mechanism that most residential pool owners have never been told. Pool water clarity and comfort are not primarily controlled by how much chlorine is in the water. They are controlled by how stable the chemistry stays hour to hour throughout the day. 1A pool that holds steady at pH 7.5 and 2 to 3 parts per million of free chlorine all day looks and feels entirely different from a pool that swings between pH 7.4 in the morning and pH 8.1 by mid-afternoon, with chlorine dropping from 3 parts per million at dawn to near 0 by 3 in the afternoon. Both pools might test identically at the moment the owner runs a Saturday morning check. The experience of swimming in them is completely different. Hotel pools do not swing. Residential pools do. The compound this video covers is the primary reason why. 1. The compound is sodium tetraborate. You know it by its common name, borax. The same product in the yellow box in the laundry aisle of every grocery store in the country. Under $10 for a box that covers the initial treatment of most residential pools. It has been used in commercial aquatic facilities for decades. It is used in water parks, hotel pools, university natatoriums, and competition pools around the world. When it has never been aggressively marketed to residential pool owners because it is inexpensive. It lasts all season, and it eliminates several of the recurring purchases that keep pool owners coming back to the store every few weeks. When borax is dissolved in pool water at the correct concentration, it does something no other single compound does. It creates a borate buffer system. A buffer is a chemical mechanism that resists changes to pH in both directions simultaneously. 1. When something tries to push pH up, aeration from jets and splashing, swimmer load, liquid chlorine additions, the borate buffer absorbs the change and pH holds. When something tries to push pH down, rain, trichlor tablets, carbon dioxide absorption, the buffer absorbs that too. pH stays in a narrow range through everything the day throws at it. This is what hotel pools have that your pool does not. Not stronger chemicals, not professional grade mystery compounds, a buffer. 1A chemical stability system that holds pH in the range where chlorine works at full effectiveness all day, every hour, regardless of how many people are in the water or how hard the afternoon sun is hitting the surface. And here is why that matters for water clarity and comfort more than almost anything else on the chemistry side. At pH 7.4 to 7.6 with a borate buffer holding it there, chlorine operates at high efficiency all day. 1 combined chlorine. The chloramines that cause eye irritation, skin dryness, and that harsh chemical smell forms at a much lower rate because the chlorine is consistently effective and organic load gets oxidized quickly rather than sitting in the water and reacting with chlorine to form irritants. A hotel pool with borates established smells like water. It feels like water, not because the chlorine is weak, because the chlorine is working correctly every hour of the day and has almost nothing left to cause irritation. 1. Your pool on a July afternoon. With pH that has climbed to 8.0 from morning aeration and swimmer load, has chlorine operating at roughly 25% effectiveness. The organic load that chlorine would have handled at proper pH is sitting in the water forming chloramines. That is the burning eyes. That is the harsh smell. That is the hair that feels stripped after swimming. Not too much chlorine. A pH problem that a buffer would have prevented from ever forming. 1. The setup is a one-time process done correctly once at the start of the season. Get it right, and you top it up once or twice across the summer as water leaves the pool through backwashing and splash out. Get the sequence wrong, and you create a short-term pH problem before the buffer establishes. Here is the correct sequence. Step 1. Test your baseline numbers before adding anything. You need free chlorine pH and total alkalinity. Write them down, and you need to understand before you add a single ounce of borax that borax raises pH. 1. Adding your full borax dose to a pool sitting at pH 7.5 will push pH to approximately 8.0 before the buffer fully establishes. That means you will be correcting pH downward with muriatic acid after the borax goes in. That is not a problem. It is the expected and correct sequence. What it means is that you do not skip the muriatic acid step. Step 2. Calculate your borax dose. The target borate level is 30 to 50 parts per million. Below 30 and the buffering effect is minimal. Above 50 and the water may foam slightly and pH becomes difficult to adjust when you actually want to move it. 1. For a 10,000-gallon pool, approximately 20 pounds of borax raises borates from 0 to 50 parts per million. For a 15,000-gallon pool, 30 pounds. For a 20,000-gallon pool, 40 pounds. These are starting from 0 numbers. If you have used borax before, or if your pool already has some borate presence, test with a borate test strip before adding a full dose. Step 3. Add the borax with the pump running. Do not dump it all in one spot. Walk the perimeter of the pool and broadcast it evenly across the surface. 1. For larger doses. Split them across 2 consecutive days rather than adding everything at once. It dissolves within a few hours of normal pump operation. Step 4. 2 hours after adding the borax, test pH. It will have risen. Add muriatic acid, diluted in a bucket of pool water first, poured slowly at the deep end away from the skimmer with the pump running, to bring pH back to 7.4 to 7.6. This is not optional. The buffer only works correctly when pH is set within the target range. A borate buffer holding pH at 8.0 is not useful. 1A borate buffer holding pH at 7.5 is the hotel pool experience. Step 5. Retest the following morning. Borate buffers take 12 to 24 hours to fully stabilize. Your morning read after the initial setup is the real baseline. If both pH and borates are in range, your system is established. 1 now. Before we go further, if you want the complete version of this method with every dose written out, the full grocery store substitution guide, the SLAM process for green pools, and a printable weekly routine. I put it all together in a 39-page guide called The Pool Carter Playbook, From Green to Crystal Clear. I went from spending $600 a season to under $150. The link is below this video. Let's keep going. 1. Commercial aquatic facilities do not use borates because they read a pool chemistry blog. They use them because decades of data from high-traffic pools show 3 consistent outcomes that no other single compound produces. First, pH stability across heavy bather load. A hotel pool handling 200 swimmers on a Saturday does not have its chemistry collapse by mid-afternoon because the borate buffer is absorbing every pH push those 200 swimmers create through body heat, carbon dioxide exhalation, and the aeration from people moving through the water. 1. A residential pool handling 8 people on a Saturday afternoon with no buffer pushes to pH 8.0 by 3 o'clock, and the owner wonders why the water went cloudy by Sunday morning. Same cause, different buffer system. Second, dramatically reduced chloramine formation. Chloramines are the spent reaction products of chlorine combining with nitrogen compounds from swimmer waste. They are what cause eye irritation, skin irritation, the harsh chemical smell, and the too much chlorine sensation that is actually the opposite problem. When in a buffered pool where pH holds steady and chlorine operates at full efficiency all day, the reaction that creates chloramines happens at a much lower rate because chlorine is oxidizing organic compounds quickly rather than letting them accumulate. Hotel pools smell like nothing. Unbuffered residential pools smell like chlorine. The difference is not chlorine concentration, it is how effectively the chlorine is working throughout the day. Third, water that looks and feels noticeably different. This is the side effect that owners notice first and struggle to explain. Pools with established borates at 30 to 50 parts per million read as more vivid. The blue is deeper. The water has a quality that is hard to name, but immediately recognizable to anyone who has swum in a commercial pool. Eyes do not burn, skin does not feel dried out, hair does not feel stripped. This is not a placebo effect. It is the result of water that is consistently at the correct chemistry throughout the day, rather than swinging from balanced in the morning to degraded by afternoon. 1. Understanding why borax has never been aggressively marketed to residential pool owners requires understanding what it replaces. Weekly algae-free is the most direct casualty. A pool with correct chlorine levels and established borates does not develop algae under normal conditions because the two conditions algae needs, a pH-driven gap in chlorine effectiveness and a sanitizer window during which colonies can establish, are both eliminated by the borate system. The $15 to $25 weekly algae-free bottle goes from a recurring purchase to a completely unnecessary one. 1. That is $180 to $300 a season in eliminated revenue from a single customer who discovers borates. The pH correction cycle is the second casualty. Without a buffer, pH swings require frequent correction with pH up and pH down products. Every swing is a purchase. With a borate buffer holding pH in range, the daily pH swings that previously required product additions become minor variations that the buffer absorbs automatically. The pH correction product consumption drops dramatically. The clarifier and specialty treatment purchases are the third casualty. 1. Cloudy water from high pH and degraded chlorine effectiveness, which is the most common cause of residential pool cloudiness, does not occur when pH is buffered and chlorine is working at full efficiency all day. No cloudy water means no clarifier purchase, no enzyme treatment, no specialty oxidizer. The pool store visit frequency drops from 4 to 6 times a summer to once or twice. 1. Add those 3 revenue streams across a customer base of millions of residential pool owners, and the business incentive to not prominently advertise a one-time $10 borax treatment that eliminates them becomes straightforward. The compound is not hidden. It is simply never the first recommendation, never the featured product, and never the answer the counter offers when you walk in with a cloudy water problem or an algae question. 1. This channel draws the line clearly because the line matters. Borates do not sanitize. Chlorine sanitizes. Borates make chlorine more consistently effective by holding the pH conditions in which chlorine works correctly. A pool with established borates and no chlorine is not a safe pool. It is an unbuffered pool without sanitizer. The borate system works as a stability layer on top of correct chlorine management, not as a replacement for it. Borates do not clear a pool that is already green. 1. An established algae bloom requires a SLAM, sustained elevated chlorine maintained until the bloom is completely dead and the water holds chlorine overnight. Once the SLAM is complete and the pool is clear, that is when you establish or restore borates so the conditions that allowed the bloom cannot reform. Prevention tool, not cure. Borates do not fix a pool with high cyanuric acid. If your stabilizer is above 80 parts per million, your chlorine is already locked up, and a borate buffer holding pH in range will not restore the chlorine effectiveness that overstabilization has removed. 1. Fix cyanuric acid first, with a partial dilution. Then establish borates, and borates do not eliminate the daily 2-minute check. Free chlorine and pH every morning in July. 2 minutes and a test strip. The borate buffer makes pH more stable, but it does not make it immune to large inputs. A heavy thunderstorm, a major chemical addition, a significant dilution from refilling the pool. All of these can move pH outside the range where the buffer is operating effectively. The morning test catches any shift before the day's heat and bather load turn it into a problem. 1. Here is something worth saying out loud, because it is true of almost every piece of genuinely useful pool information that has ever been put in front of a residential pool owner. Most people who watch this video will not change anything. Not because the information is wrong, not because the method is complicated, not because the cost is prohibitive. The entire borate setup costs under $10 and a gallon of muriatic acid from the hardware store. 1. They will not change anything because the pool store is convenient, the service tech shows up every week, and the current system, expensive and inefficient as it is, technically works well enough to swim in most of the time. The bar for switching is not, is there a better way? The bar is the pain of the current way bad enough to motivate a change? And for most owners, cloudy water once a month and burning eyes on a Saturday and $400 a season does not cross that bar. It is familiar. Familiar is comfortable, even when familiar is expensive. The owners who make the switch are a specific type. They are not necessarily more technically minded. They are not chemistry enthusiasts. They do not enjoy pool maintenance more than anyone else. What they share is a single moment where the familiar system failed them badly enough that they went looking for a real answer instead of another bottle. A green pool the week before a graduation party? A child who came out of the pool every single day that summer with red eyes, and they finally asked why. A pool store receipt in October that they actually added up for the first time. One something made the familiar system feel unacceptable, and they started asking different questions. If you're still watching this video, you are probably closer to that moment than you think. And the information in this video, the borate system, the grocery store method, the daily 2-minute test, none of it requires that moment of crisis to implement. You can make the switch on a Tuesday in July because you watched a video and the math made sense. You do not need the green pool first. 1. Here is what most pool owners do not see until they have run the correct system for a full season. The savings and the water quality improvement compound over time in a way that a single good week of pool chemistry does not. In the first month, you notice the water feels different, clearer, more comfortable, less chemical smell. You test less frequently than you expected to because the numbers hold more steadily than they ever did before. The pH correction you did on Monday is still holding on Friday. 1. You add bleach in the evening, and the chlorine is still present the following morning at a level that surprises you because you are used to it burning off overnight. The buffer is working, and you can feel it in how little you have to intervene. By the end of the first season, you have made somewhere between 2 and 4 trips to the pool store total. Not 6 to 8, 2 to 4. You bought cyanuric acid once at the start of the season. You bought Cal Hypo Shock in a bulk bucket that will last 2 seasons. You bought a box of borax and a gallon of muriatic acid and a large bag of baking soda at the hardware store and the grocery store. Your total chemical spend for the season is somewhere between $80 and $150 depending on your pool size and how hot your summer was. Compare that to the owner running the conventional system all season, 4 to 6 pool store visits at $80 to $110 per visit, a monthly service tech for $150, a specialty treatment for the algae that came back in August, 1A partial drain and refill in September, because the cyanuric acid stacked too high from the tablet floater running all summer. That owner spent $800 to $1,200 on the same pool, the same summer, with worse water quality, more maintenance time, and the same green pool problem in August that they have had every August for 5 years. Same pool, same July, different information. 1. Imagine walking into a pool store and asking the person behind the counter this question directly. What is the single most cost-effective thing I can add to my pool to improve water quality for the entire season? The honest answer to that question is a borate system, one-time setup, under $10 in product, holds pH stable all season, reduces chloramine formation, improves water clarity and comfort, requires minimal top-up, used in every high-quality commercial aquatic facility in the world. That answer will never come from behind a pool store counter. 1. Because the honest answer to that question is also the answer that eliminates 3 to 5 recurring product purchases per customer per season. The counter person's job is not to give you the most cost-effective answer. Their job is to sell products. Those two objectives are not the same job, and it is worth being clear-eyed about that every time you walk through that door. The free water test is not a diagnostic service. It is a sales tool. The specialty bottle recommendation is not based on what is cheapest and most effective. It is based on what is on the wall and what has the best margin. The weekly algaecide recommendation is not because algaecide is the best solution for algae prevention. It is because algaecide is a recurring purchase and a borate system is a one-time one. Every recommendation that comes from behind that counter should be filtered through the question, who does this recommendation benefit most? 1. The owner who walks into the pool store knowing all of that is not a hostile customer. They are a smart one. They buy what they actually need. Cyanuric acid, cal, hyposhock in bulk, a good drop test kit, and they walk past the $25 algicide and the $18 alkalinity increaser and the $30 phosphate remover without breaking stride. 1. Here is what separates the hotel pool experience from the average residential pool experience, and here is how you replicate it at home. Commercial pools run the pump continuously. You run it 8 to 12 hours per day in summer, 1 hour for every 10 degrees of air temperature. At 90 degrees, that is 9 to 10 hours minimum. Warm, still water is algae's environment. Moving filtered water is the pool's defense. Commercial pools clean the filter on schedule, not when the water looks bad. Check pressure twice a week. 1. Clean the cartridge, or backwash the sand, when pressure runs 8 to 10 pounds per square inch above normal. A mid-season cartridge soak strips the oil fouling from sunscreen and body lotion that hose cleaning alone cannot remove. Commercial pools hold chemistry stable with a buffer system. Borates at 30 to 50 parts per million, established once at the start of the season, topped up once or twice as water leaves the pool. pH stays in the range where chlorine works. Combined chlorine stays low. The water stays comfortable. Commercial pools test frequently and correct in sequence. 1. Alkalinity first, pH second, sanitizer third every time. No exceptions. The owner who tests daily in July and corrects each number in the right order does not fight their pool. They swim in it. That is the entire system. Continuous circulation, clean filtration, a borate buffer, and a daily 2-minute test. None of it is expensive. None of it is complex. None of it requires a facilities manager or a commercial chemical supplier. All of it is available at the grocery store and hardware store for under $40 total. The hotel pool in your backyard is not a fantasy. It is a chemistry decision most pool owners have never been offered the information to make. If you have tried borates, or if this is the first time someone has explained why hotel pool water feels different, drop it in the comments. What did you notice first? The clarity, the smell, or the way the water felt on your skin? Help the next owner make the switch before another summer of burning eyes and cloudy Saturday afternoons. Every video on this channel works the same way. Real numbers, no sponsors, no pool store upsell. If that is useful to you, subscribe. 1. This channel reads the water, not the marketing.